Most people think wealth comes from ideas. They're wrong. Wealth comes from information. And right now, there's a $948 million market that exists because businesses are drowning in a problem they can't solve themselves. They need data, they need it now, and they have no idea how to get it. While everyone's chasing the next viral product or dropshipping scheme, a small group of operators is quietly building information empires, charging $50 to $500 per dataset, operating at 90% margins, and scaling to nearly $900,000 in annual revenue with an initial investment of just $300. This isn't theory. This is happening right now. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how the economics work, why certain niches pay premium prices, and how you can position yourself at the intersection of a fundamental business problem and a scalable solution. But before we go deeper, let me be direct with you. This is a new channel and we're building something different here. Unfiltered wealth psychology, real strategies, no nonsense. We're trying to reach 100 subscribers and I need your help. If you're serious about understanding how money actually moves in the digital economy, hit that subscribe button right now. We're aiming for 50 likes on this video. That's our goal. And I want to know where in the world you're watching from. Drop a comment with your location. Let's see how far this message reaches. Because what I'm about to share isn't common knowledge, it's insider intelligence. And the people who act on it early are the ones who win. Let's start with the brutal truth that separates amateurs from professionals. Information has a price inversely correlated with the effort required to obtain it. Think about that. A dataset that takes a company 40 hours to compile manually, they'll pay hundreds of dollars for it if you can deliver it in 10 minutes. The average web scraping business generates $884,000 per year, with gross margins around 90%. That means for every dollar you bring in, 90 cents is profit. Your weekly revenue, once established, hovers around $18,400. That's roughly $73,600 per month. And the reason this model works is brutally simple. Once your scraper is built and deployed, the marginal cost to generate an additional sale approaches zero. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in practice. A real estate company pays you $250 for a dataset you generated while you were sleeping. The scraper ran overnight, pulled 500 qualified leads from public listings, organized them by zip code, included contact information, days on market and price history. Your actual cost? Server time and maybe $10 in proxy fees, $240 in pure profit. Now multiply that by 20 clients per month. You're at $5,000 monthly and you haven't left your apartment. This is the information arbitrage game, and it's invisible to most people because they're looking for complicated business models when the simplest ones print money. Jeff Bezos understood this at a level most entrepreneurs never will. When he built Amazon, he didn't just create an online bookstore. He reorganized the entire company around metrics and data-driven decision-making. Every product recommendation, every pricing decision, every warehouse location, driven by data. One of his early employees, David Selinger, led Amazon's data mining and personalization team. Selinger saw what Bezos saw, that businesses don't need information for curiosity, they need it for competitive advantage. So Selinger left Amazon and founded Rich Relevance, a company that monetized personalization data for retailers like Macy's, Barney's New York, and Office Depot. Rich Relevance didn't just sell data, it sold the infrastructure to deliver data-driven recommendations at scale. The result? Over $20 billion in commerce revenue generated for its clients before the company was acquired by Manthan Software. Here's the lesson Selinger internalized that most people miss. Retailers didn't need product recommendations. They needed the data infrastructure to deliver those recommendations automatically, continuously at scale. That's the difference between selling a fish and selling a fishing system. Selinger understood that businesses will pay enormous premiums for information that saves them time and generates revenue predictably. And that principle is exactly what makes the data scraping model so lucrative today. Let me give you a more aggressive example. Elon Musk's strategy with xAI demonstrates information leverage at a scale that borders on unfair. Musk acquired X, formerly Twitter, and merged it with xAI. Why? Because X generates real-time conversational data, from 600 million monthly active users. Then he combined that with physical sensor data from over 2 million Tesla vehicles. What he created is what he calls the embodied AI thesis, a proprietary data moat that competitors cannot access. Google can't scrape Tesla's driving data. OpenAI can't access X's real-time social graph. Musk controls the information flow, and that control is worth billions. This is the endgame of information leverage. You don't just collect data, you control access to data pipelines that others need but can't replicate. Now I know what you're thinking. That's Elon Musk. That's Jeff Bezos. What does that have to do with someone starting from scratch? Everything. Because the principle scales down. Musk and Bezos operate at the level of billion-dollar data monopolies. But the same dynamics apply at the level of $50 datasets sold to roofing companies. The mechanic is identical. Find information someone needs, control access to that information, deliver it faster and cheaper than they can get it themselves, and charge a premium because the value to them exceeds the price. Let me break down why certain niches pay premium prices, because this is where amateurs waste time and professionals make money. The business model we're discussing targets specific verticals: real estate agents, car dealerships, medical spas, solar companies, roofers, SaaS founders. These aren't random. Each one shares 3 characteristics. First, information directly impacts deal closure. A real estate agent with accurate, location-specific lead lists converts prospects at higher rates. Car dealerships face an average 2% conversion rate from website visitors to test drives, but dealerships using optimized lead management systems see 42% increases in conversion and triple the speed of follow-up. When a roofing company targets homeowners in neighborhoods with aging roofs, they're not just reaching prospects, they're reaching people predisposed to buy at the exact moment they need the service. Second, manual data collection is prohibitively expensive. A realtor scraper tool generates 2,500 qualified leads per hour. Manual collection? 40 to 50 leads per hour, that's a 50-fold difference. The annual ROI from automated lead generation reaches 350%, with an 85% reduction in staff hours. A solar company that manually researched homeowner databases, mortgage records, and property ages would need full-time researchers. A data scraper delivers the same information in minutes for a fraction of the cost. That's your value proposition. You're not selling data, you're selling time. Third, the data has a shelf life and requires constant refresh. This is where upsells become inevitable. Solar lead generation companies understand this acutely. Homeowner contact information, property ages, mortgage histories, neighborhood demographics, they change constantly. A company that buys a static list of 500 solar leads once realizes no long-term value, but a company that receives fresh, updated leads monthly, that's a predictable revenue stream. That's recurring income, and that's how you go from trading time for money to building a business that generates cash flow while you sleep. Mark Zuckerberg ran a version of this playbook that illustrates the power of information asymmetry inverted. Instead of selling raw data, which would have depreciated its value to Facebook, Zuckerberg controlled who accessed data and under what terms. He required data sharing agreements that functioned as leverage, favored companies like Tinder, Sony, and Microsoft received preferential data access. Competitors faced restrictions. The asymmetry of information created asymmetry of power. By 2012, as Facebook faced what insiders called terminal decline in user engagement, Zuckerberg contemplated charging developers for data access and setting a public rate for Facebook user data. While he ultimately pursued a different strategy, the intent was clear. Data is a commodity with measurable market value, and whoever controls the data controls the market. Let's talk about real-world platforms that prove this model at scale, because understanding how they operate gives you the blueprint for your own operation. Apollo.io maintains a database of 275 million verified business contacts across 73 million companies. They charge subscription fees ranging from free limited plans to enterprise packages. Apollo doesn't just generate revenue from subscriptions. They make money from incremental purchases of verified contact details, which users unlock with platform credits. At sufficient scale, Data access becomes a recurring revenue stream businesses budget for annually. That's the goal. You want customers who expense your service every month without thinking about it because the cost is trivial compared to the value. Hunter.io, founded in 2015, aggregated over 102 million verified email addresses from 76 million domains. They monetize through tiered subscriptions, bulk search operations, and API access for developers integrating Hunter data into their own tools. Hunter proves that even in a crowded space, a focused vertical can sustain profitability. If you're worried about competition, don't be. There's enough demand that even a narrow niche, professional email finding, supports multiple businesses. Now let's look at the enterprise level. ZoomInfo monetizes B2B data at scale, generating $747 million in annual revenue from subscriptions. They guarantee 95% data accuracy through proprietary extraction, parsing, matching, and cleaning methods. ZoomInfo's revenue growth hit 57.1% year over year. But here's the critical insight. ZoomInfo integrates directly into sales workflows. Salesforce, HubSpot, Marketo, Microsoft Dynamics. They're not just selling data, they're selling indispensable infrastructure. When your product becomes part of someone's daily workflow, they can't remove you without causing friction. That's lock-in, that's power. Crunchbase built a $38 million annual recurring revenue business by combining freemium access to startup and funding data with premium subscriptions and data licensing agreements. In 2022, data licensing contributed 45% of Crunchbase's total revenue. They proved that even when you offer free access to basic data, the ability to license curated, verified data to enterprises generates substantial recurring revenue. The takeaway? You don't need to guard every piece of data like a dragon hoarding gold. Give away enough to create demand, then charge for the premium access. Let me shift gears and talk about execution, because theory without action is worthless. The tools you need to start this are accessible right now. Phantom Buster specializes in platform-specific automation. It excels at LinkedIn lead generation, scraping Sales Navigator results, extracting profile data, building outreach sequences, all without coding. A growth hacker can deploy a LinkedIn scraping Phantom and extract 1,000 qualified leads in under an hour. Phantom Buster handles the technical complexity, proxy rotation, rate limiting, pattern matching, while allowing non-technical users to accomplish sophisticated data extraction. If you can't code, Phantom Buster is your entry point. Apify serves developers building scalable, production-grade scrapers. It provides cloud infrastructure, handles JavaScript rendering for dynamic websites, manages proxy rotation, and offers scheduling for continuous monitoring. Apify is the infrastructure layer. It handles the hard technical problems so you can focus on value extraction. A developer can define data extraction rules once and deploy them at scale to hundreds of websites simultaneously. If you can code or hire someone who can, Apify is how you scale beyond small-time operations. Google Sheets combined with automation scripts offers a lower cost entry. ChatGPT and similar models can help non-programmers construct simple web scraping workflows using Sheets' built-in functions or integration with platforms like Zapier or Make. This democratizes entry. You don't need a computer science degree. You need resourcefulness and the willingness to learn. The practical execution follows a pattern. Identify a niche, scrape relevant data sources, clean and standardize, package into a consumable format, sell with recurring update guarantees. Real estate agents need current listings, agent contact info, commission rates, days on market, price history. Medical spas need leads of high-income individuals searching for cosmetic procedures, ages 30 to 65 within 10 miles of their location. Car dealerships need leads of people who recently searched for vehicles online, their budget range, credit score indicators. Solar companies need homeowner databases, property ages, roof types, mortgage status. Each niche has specific data formats and update frequencies that command different price points. Your job is to become the go-to provider for one vertical before expanding. Now, let's address the part most people ignore until it's too late, the legal minefield. Data scraping exists in legal ambiguity, and execution matters enormously. The Clearview AI case illustrates the stakes. Clearview scraped over 20 billion face images from the internet to build a facial recognition database, selling access primarily to law enforcement. They faced multiple lawsuits and regulatory action across jurisdictions. In 2022, the Austrian Data Protection Authority found Clearview violated GDPR by collecting and processing personal data without legal basis. The company paid millions in settlements while remaining operational. Here's the lesson. Illegality doesn't eliminate a business, but it adds regulatory cost and existential risk. The difference between Clearview and legitimate data brokers like ZoomInfo or Crunchbase is consent and transparency. Crunchbase sources startup data from founders who voluntarily input information. ZoomInfo sources business data from corporate websites, directories, public records. The data is verifiable and sourced with clear attribution. For high-ticket data scrapers, the critical question is jurisdiction and legality. Selling personal data in California under CCPA requires meeting specific thresholds. Under GDPR, processing personal data requires a lawful basis: consent, contractual necessity, legal obligation, or legitimate interest. Simply extracting data because it's publicly available doesn't satisfy these requirements. The safest model operates in B2B commercial intelligence, firmographic data like company size, revenue, funding, hiring, technology stack. Publicly available business contact information, company phone numbers, published email addresses, LinkedIn URLs. Commercial intent signals, website traffic, job postings, app installations. This data is generally fair game because it's sourced from public business sources, not personal profiles or intimate consumer behavior. Conversely, selling personal phone numbers, addresses, family information extracted from social media without consent violates platform terms of service and likely violates data protection regulations. Phantom Buster operates in this gray zone. It's useful for lead generation, but responsibility for legal compliance falls on you. Understand the rules, operate within them, or accept the risk knowingly. Here's the psychology behind why businesses buy, because understanding this transforms how you sell. Successful data entrepreneurs know that businesses buy data to solve a specific, measurable problem. A solar company doesn't buy lead lists because data is interesting. They buy because a fresh list reduces their customer acquisition cost below their lifetime customer value. If a solar installation generates $8,000 in profit and customer acquisition through traditional marketing costs, $3,000 per lead, you offering 500 qualified monthly leads at $25 per lead, $12,500 total, becomes a bargain. Your customer acquisition cost for them drops to $25. That's a no-brainer purchase. This is why upsells to recurring purchases are inherent to the model. A one-time sale creates a bounded transaction. A monthly subscription for updated data creates a habit. The business integrates your data into their CRM, trains their sales team to use it, and suddenly removing your data source creates friction. Recurring revenue compounds because the switching cost for the buyer increases over time. Jeff Bezos articulated a principle that explains this dynamic perfectly. He said the best leaders make decisions with approximately 70% of the data they need. Otherwise, they wait too long. A real estate agent facing 50 potential leads this week doesn't need the perfect list. They need a good enough list immediately. A car dealership with 200 website visitors this month doesn't need 100% accuracy. They need leads now, and their sales process will filter for quality. Data providers who grasp this psychology understand that imperfect data delivered on schedule beats perfect data delivered late. Speed and consistency trump perfection. If you've been watching this far and you're thinking, this actually makes sense, then do me a favor. Pause the video right now and hit the like button. We're trying to reach 50 likes on this video, and every single one matters. If this content is giving you ideas, if it's shifting how you think about online business models, show your support and drop a comment. I want to hear your biggest takeaway from this video or the biggest challenge you're facing right now in building a scalable income stream. Seriously, take 10 seconds and comment. I read every single one, and your engagement helps this channel reach more people who need this information. Now let's talk about the scale problem, because this is where most data businesses plateau and die. Research reveals a critical constraint. Web data companies struggle to scale profitably. The paradox is that more customers require proportionally more infrastructure, data sources, and customer support. A data business initially offers scraping services customized per client. Client A wants solar leads in Arizona. Client B wants roofing leads in Texas. Each client's requirements differ slightly, requiring custom configuration, monitoring, support. As the business grows, the cost structure shifts unfavorably. A company with 10 customers scraping 5 websites each has 50 scraping jobs. A company with 100 customers scraping 10 websites each has 1,000 scraping jobs. Infrastructure costs scale superlinearly because maintaining data quality, managing scraping infrastructure, handling proxy rotation, addressing website changes, all of this requires constant engineering resources. This is why the most successful data monetization strategies move beyond pure data selling toward value-added services. Palantir, founded by Peter Thiel in 2003, didn't just collect or sell data. They built software platforms, Gotham, Foundry, Apollo, AIP, that help organizations integrate, analyze, and act on data. Palantir's revenue grew at 30% annually since 2018, reaching profitability in 2023. They generate substantial revenue because they solved a problem beyond data access. They solved data integration and analysis at scale. Similarly, Databricks monetizes data through clean rooms, privacy-preserving environments where multiple parties analyze data together without raw data changing hands. Rather than selling data, Databricks sells the ability to collaborate on data, generating subscription revenue and building marketplaces for analytic services. The implication for you as a data scraper is clear. The sustainable model isn't selling raw leads forever. It's either building tools that help clients use the data better, focusing on an extraordinarily narrow niche where no other provider operates and becoming indispensable, or selling to large enterprises at high unit price points where personalized service justifies manual work. You need to think 3 moves ahead. Start by selling datasets, build recurring revenue, then transition to SaaS tools, consulting or data infrastructure before your margins compress. Let me give you the archetype of the successful data entrepreneur so you can model their thinking. David Selinger embodies this. As an early Amazon employee working directly under Bezos, Selinger led Amazon's R&D for data mining and personalization. He understood at the deepest organizational level how data drives business decisions. When he co-founded Redfin in 2004, he applied this principle to real estate. Make property data searchable, transparent, actionable. Redfin became a multi-billion-dollar company by recognizing that consumers and agents would pay premium prices for standardized, comparable real estate data and market analysis. Then Selinger founded Rich Relevance in 2006, recognizing that retailers struggled to personalize customer experiences. He built a platform that helped Macy's, Barney's, Office Depot deliver personalized recommendations at scale. The company generated over $20 billion in commerce revenue for its clients before acquisition. Critically, Selinger didn't succeed by selling data in spreadsheets. He succeeded by building businesses around data, making data actionable, integrated into existing workflows, directly tied to revenue outcomes. His companies measured success not in datasets sold, but in revenue generated for customers using the data. That's the difference between a data seller and a data entrepreneur. So why now? Why is this moment in history uniquely positioned for this model? The web scraping market has expanded because the barriers to entry have collapsed. In 2007, building a web scraper required deep programming expertise. Today, platforms like Phantom Buster, Apify, and Browse AI abstract away the technical complexity. A non-technical entrepreneur can generate leads for specific niches without writing code. Simultaneously, businesses have become more desperate for lead quality. The decline of third-party cookies, iOS privacy changes, advertising cost inflation, traditional lead sources are becoming less reliable and more expensive. A real estate agent who previously relied on Zillow ads now faces higher costs and lower quality. a solar company that once relied on direct mail, now competes in a landscape where digital targeting has become less predictable. This desperation creates pricing power for data providers offering alternative lead sources. Additionally, the professionalization of B2B sales through platforms like Salesforce, HubSpot, and Apollo has created infrastructure for data consumption. Sales teams now expect data to integrate directly into their CRM, trigger automated workflows, provide real-time alerts. This infrastructure sophistication creates opportunities for data providers who can deliver data in formats that integrate seamlessly. The market is more ready for your service now than it has ever been. Let's address the moral ambiguity directly, because pretending it doesn't exist is intellectually dishonest. Selling leads mined from public data raises a question. Are the people on those lists informed that their data is being aggregated and sold? The answer, almost uniformly, is no. A homeowner who posted photos of their roof on Facebook didn't consent to being added to a roofing company's lead list. A real estate agent whose company phone number is on Google didn't expect to be contacted through data scraped from Google Maps. This doesn't necessarily make the practice illegal. Public data is generally licit, but it highlights why regulations like GDPR and CCPA exist. The ethical counterargument is that lead generation serves market efficiency. You're matching people who have a problem with providers who solve that problem. Early-stage businesses use lead generation data to compete against established companies with large marketing budgets. From this view, data scraping democratizes business development. The realistic stance is that this market exists in a state of permanent legal and ethical precarity. Regulations will continue tightening, platforms will continue restricting scraping, consumer privacy expectations will continue escalating. The businesses that survive this trajectory will be those that recognize these shifts early and adapt, moving toward more transparent, regulated data sources or building value-added services that justify the data practices. Here's the fundamental truth underlying this entire business model. Information asymmetry creates economic value. When one party knows something another party doesn't, where leads are, who's hiring, which properties are about to sell, transactions become possible that wouldn't occur in a symmetrical information environment. Businesses like Palantir, ZoomInfo, Rich Relevance, Crunchbase, they've built multi-billion-dollar enterprises by aggregating, cleaning, and monetizing information. The question for you as an individual entrepreneur is whether you can compete at that level or whether you should target narrow verticals where you can become indispensable. The $50 to $500 price point per dataset is precisely at the margin where a small operator can compete. A solar company will pay $250 for 100 qualified homeowner leads if the acquisition cost is demonstrably lower than their marketing alternatives. A real estate agent will pay $150 for a monthly update to their territory's new listings if it saves them 5 hours of research per week. These are prices where margins are enormous and customer payback periods are weeks, not months. The entrepreneurs who succeed in this space share common traits. They understand their customers' unit economics deeply. They recognize data as a commodity with measurable value. They build systems that function at scale without proportional cost increases. They position themselves to transition toward higher value services as their data asset matures. And they remain vigilant about regulatory shifts, positioning their data sources as far as possible from personal, intimate data toward business intelligence and commercial context. Let me leave you with this. Businesses don't run on ideas. They run on information. Every decision a company makes, who to hire, what to build, where to expand, which customers to target, depends on information. The companies that win are the companies with better information, faster. You have an opportunity right now to position yourself as the information provider for a specific niche. Real estate agents need leads. Solar companies need homeowner data. Car dealerships need buyer intent signals. Medical spas need high-income prospects. Roofers need property intelligence. SaaS founders need competitor analysis. Each of these verticals will pay you recurring monthly fees for data they cannot efficiently collect themselves. The execution challenge isn't technical. The tools exist. Phantom Buster, Appify, Google Sheets, ChatGPT workflows, they're all accessible today. The execution challenge is recognizing that while information has value, the higher value lies in systems that help businesses act on that information at scale. Start by selling datasets, prove the model, generate cash flow. Then build the infrastructure layer. Become the platform, not just the data provider. And here's my final challenge to you. If you're serious about building a scalable high-margin business in the digital economy, you need to stay plugged into this channel. We're going deep on strategies like this every single week. Wealth psychology, real business models, no fluff, no hype. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're building toward 100 subscribers, and every single one matters. Comment below with where you're watching from and what niche you're thinking about targeting. I want to see this community grow into something real. People taking action, sharing results, holding each other accountable. The information advantage isn't reserved for billionaires. It's available to anyone willing to see the asymmetry, build the systems, and execute with precision. The $948 million web scraping market is growing. The question is whether you're going to watch from the sidelines or position yourself to capture a piece of it. Make the decision. Take the action. Build the empire. I'll see you in the next one.